Okay, so on June 18th, 2018 is when Big Van Vader died. Now, for a lot of people, if you only watched the E exclusively, you didn't really see him do an awful lot. He was brought in as the man they call Vader. Originally they wanted to call him Mastodon, which would have been about as smart of a move as making Ric Flair Spartacus. He had a decent run, but never really played up to his strengths. Then, of course, they brought him back later during the time of, I want to say it was Austin was the sheriff or the general manager, one of those two things. So Coach brought Vader in for a little bit, and he got to do a small sequence against Heath Slater when Slater was being destroyed by the Legends. If you never actually watched one of those matches, by all means, just on YouTube type in Big Van Vader Sting, or Big Van Vader Flair. Or, if you got the stomach for it, Big Van Vader Cactus Jack, Big Van Vader Stan Hansen. You'll get to watch a man take off the mask he's wearing, pop his eye back into his socket, put the mask back on, and keep on fighting. During the 80s, when I started watching wrestling, I kind of dug Hulk Hogan for a little bit, but it wasn't until I started watching WCW and NWA that I really got into professional wrestling. People like Ric Flair. And I remember watching Sting. Hyper athletic, blonde guy, tan, face paint. Crowd loved him. He was effectively, if you took the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan and merged them together, you had Surfer Sting. And he would take on this individual who came down to the ring wearing this gigantic, like Darth Vader meets Godzilla headpiece. Frightening individual. You take it out, steam shoots out of it. And then you watch this big man who still throws some of the most devastating looking punches they've ever seen in professional wrestling without them being shoot punches. The gigantic hands that he has in those matches. His forearm shots where you're at home going, go, okay, this is hard to watch. He's going to give the guy a concussion. Watch me either the Vader bomb or a very fantastic power bomb or one of the best moonsaults not coming from Kurt Angle or Charlotte or Christopher Daniels. But for a man of his size, hitting a near perfect moonsault where you thought the person was going to go and just squirt out of both ends, and he's a safe worker. Even when you watch him powerbomb Cactus Jack onto the concrete, not padding, no, onto the concrete, you can tell that he makes it look devastating, but you also go, you can tell he's holding him as much as he can to make it look like he's slamming him down really hard. But he's like, maybe like 2 feet of a drop. So it looks devastating, but you can tell he's keeping him safe. Or you can have Big Van Vader Boy Meets World, which was great because it was him both in character as well as the human side of him as well. And if you're a fan of Hossie tag teams, Big Van Vader, Bam Bam Bigelow. Yes, those two were a tag team in Japan. Frightening. Two gigantic, horrific looking monsters who moved with a cruiserweight ability. When most of you ask people, well, who should be in the Hall of Fame? Vader's on that list. Seems like he'll finally get his due going into the Hall of Fame. It ends up being sad that it'll be posthumously. So, to everyone who watched him wrestle, you know what I'm talking about. Guy was amazing. Those of you who haven't seen him wrestle, by all means, you got YouTube, you've got the network, Bing, Google, Ask Jeeves still a thing. You can probably find it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, probably a Snapchat of him doing something. There's probably GIFs of him doing something on Reddit. Reddit's probably covered with him right now. Do yourself a favor and look at what this guy at his size was doing in the ring. Equate yourself with what Vader did, and you too will realize exactly what a loss this is for the world of professional wrestling.